Gas right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. I am Josh Van Slegman.
And I am Kayla King.
And these are the top stories we're tracking today. High-ranking Venezuelan official proposes including Essequibo in constitution. And the powerful commission discusses Venezuelan next move with military leaders. Venezuela to conduct military activity in Essequibo. It reinforces rejection of the ICJ's jurisdiction in the border case. Meanwhile, U.S. judge slaps ExxonMobil with $14.2 million penalty for illegal flaring. Found company violated environmental laws more than 3,600 times. Oil production licenses still in secrecy 5 months later. And 6th FPSO by 2027, Exxon says first 6 could wipe out half of Guyana's proven reserves. And former minister granted approval for oil operator to build bypass road on reserve. Get the details of these stories and much more.
(9 a.m. to 15 hours). Reason for outage: replacement of 2 defective gap switches. Retention of 10 pole spans high voltage mains. Transfer of high voltage and low voltage mains to 6 14-meter new poles. And installation of 3 RCO switches and replace 6 RCO switches. Did you know? Weekly plant maintenance allows for routine inspection and maintenance of the network to provide customers with a reliable supply of electricity. GPL, empowering you.
And now for the news in detail. The National Assembly of Venezuela is expected to consider a proposal to include the Essequibo region referred to as Guyana Essequiba in the country's constitution. The amendment, if made, would see the country declaring that there is no dispute over the region, which it purports to have sovereignty over. The proposal was made by lawmaker Herman Escara, who was earlier this year placed on chair of the new Special Commission for the Defense of Guyana Essequiba Territory and Territorial Sovereignty. Escara said that the commission would be meeting with the military high command to discuss the actions to be taken regarding the Essequibo territory. The Venezuelan government reaffirmed Venezuela's position that it does not recognize the ICJ's jurisdiction to settle the border matter and prefers direct negotiations with Guyana.
And meanwhile, while Guyana continues to give ExxonMobil much leverage to ignore its laws and pollute its airspace with toxic chemicals that are released from the burning of 16 million cubic feet of gas per day, no-nonsense American environmental groups are assuring the world that they refuse to allow such practices to go unpunished. On Tuesday, for example, ExxonMobil Corporation was slapped with a $14.25 million U.S. penalty by the U.S. District Court Judge David Hinner for polluting Texas communities via illegal flaring and its sprawling 3,400 acres complex. Tens of thousands of people live within 3 miles of the said complex. The matter, which was taken to court by the Environment Texas and Syria Club, is one that ExxonMobil fought for 11 years with a series of legal maneuverings. The oil giant did not want to take responsibility for the violation of the Federal Clean Air Act on 3,651 days over a period of 8 years.
And now let's tell you the Irfan Ali administration still has not published all oil development production license granted to ExxonMobil. This is despite Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo committing to do so 5 months ago on October 2nd, 2020. Notably, it was Jagdeo who encouraged media operatives to read all of the permits so they could verify his claim that the Payara permits from the current administration are superior to the permits granted by the David Granger administration for Liza Phases 1 and 2. Dr. Jagdeo had also said that the improvements are there to ensure that the Payara development would be executed in a more environmentally safe manner, among other critical considerations. When informed that the media did not receive these documents, the Vice President said that he would ensure they do.
And meanwhile, it was only a few weeks ago that we reported that ExxonMobil and its joint venture partners are in full speed to consider its fifth production development in Guyana's Stabroek Block, even though they have yet to complete the field development plan for their fourth intended development. In fact, the second and third developments are yet to be on stream. Now, the companies have announced plans to have the sixth production development in the Stabroek Block on stream by 2027. That additional, according to one of Exxon's senior vice president Neil Chapman, could develop between 40 to 50% of the 9 billion barrels of oil discovered to date. In simple terms, those 6 oil vessels could wipe out half of Guyana's proven reserves in the Stabroek Block.
Meanwhile, former Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson had signed a deal with Guyana Shorebase Inc. This deal allowed the company to construct a concrete road along a reserve at Houston, East Bank Demerara, to support the drilling and oil production activities offshore Guyana. While many may question the terms in which the former minister agreed to allow an entity to use the reserve, Patterson explained that several trucks had overturned at the location, causing major traffic congestion. According to him, the concern was the turning of long base vehicles along the main access road.
You're listening to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. It is 12 hours 8 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. Still to come, Harman sees media reports as attempt to dismantle ERC, says nothing about accountability and spending. Neighbors living in fear after helping previous rape victims. In the murder of the money changer and daughter, 2 more witnesses to testify in PI. Meanwhile, decomposed body found floating in City Canal. And a laborer remanded for killing neighbor. Get the details of these stories.
GPL bill and or any other GPL related matter, as GPL's competent staff will be on site to assist customers at the point of their need. GPL is on the move. Welcome back. Now let's tell you, Leader of the Opposition Joseph Harman has stated that in his view, the recent media reports relating to occurrences at the Ethnic Relations Commission are an attempt to dismantle it. Harman made this assertion during his budget debate speech on Monday, during which he also stated that under the coalition's purview, the ERC remained a robust, apolitical, independent institution with full powers under the law to pursue anyone who sought to sow seeds of division among our people. He went on to say that the opposition never considered interfering with the ERC's independence, and once allowed to fulfill its mandate with robust leadership, it can play a pivotal role in the resolution of national ethnic issues.
For a number of years, neighbors of the alleged serial rapist, 37-year-old Thurston Semple, have been living in fear after helping some of his previous victims. On Wednesday last, however, they were forced to put those fears aside and lend a helping hand in assisting a Venezuelan sex worker. The woman was allegedly raped, sodomized, and battered by Semple. His neighbors had witnessed her plunging through Semple's louver's window in a bid to escape. They even looked on in horror as he brutalized her in his yard before they were able to help her scale his fence. Semple, a resident of Lot 5A Tuckville, is currently in custody as police investigate the matter. In a bid to find out more about the suspect, one phrase, and I quote, "This is not the first time he has done this," end quote, was repeatedly echoed by neighbors.
And now let's tell you, tomorrow the prosecution is expected to call its 2 final witnesses to testify in the money changer and daughter's murder preliminary inquiry. The matter was yesterday called in the Sparandam Magistrates Court before Magistrate Alicia George. The murder PI is being conducted for Aaron Latchman and his 18-year-old daughter, Ariana Latchman. The police prosecutor yesterday called 4 witnesses to testify, and they were subject to be cross-examined. The 5 persons accused of the double murder are 25-year-old Mark Rufino, 37-year-old Paul Chan, 44-year-old Troy Abrams, 37-year-old Lloyd Sadlu, and 41-year-old Sean Thomas. However, Rufino had escaped from the Lusignan prison last October and is yet to be recaptured.
We tell you that the partially decomposed body of a yet-to-be-identified man was yesterday discovered floating in a canal at Crowell and Wellington Street, Georgetown, around noon. The body was found floating face down in the canal with 2 plastic bags with garbage inside, attached to it. In photographs seen, the body appeared to be that of a man of African descent. He was clad in a dark-colored shirt and short pants. An eyewitness said that from her vantage point, she was unable to discern any marks of violence on the body since it was face down in the water. She, however, noted with certainty that the body was not yet in an advanced state of decomposition and it carried no stench.
Now let's tell you, a 26-year-old man was on Tuesday remanded to prison for allegedly killing his neighbor who refused to purchase a pack of cigarettes from him. The man, 26-year-old Devon Boucher of Chateau Margaux Squatting Dam, East Coast Demerara, appeared in the Sparandam Magistrates Court before Magistrate Alicia George. He was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which alleges that on February 25th at Chateau Margaux Squatting Dam, he murdered 30-year-old Clifton Bagwandat, a horse cart operator.
It is now 12 hours 13 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. It is time for your COVID-19 update. The coronavirus cases, according to Worldometer, stands at 115.9 million. Deaths, 2.5 million. And recoveries to date stands at 91.5 million.
Coming from CNN, Johnson & Johnson's single-dose coronavirus vaccine, the 3rd COVID-19 shot authorized for use in the U.S., is being administered this week. The U.S. House passed a version of President Biden's massive COVID-19 stimulus bill. The legislation now moves to the Senate. Brazil recorded its highest daily number of COVID-19 related deaths as hospitals across the country approach breaking point.
And the U.S. House passed a version of President Biden's massive COVID-19 stimulus bill. The legislation moves to the Senate, and Brazil recorded its highest daily number of COVID-related deaths as hospitals across the country approach breaking point. And just before we wrap things up on your main newscast, let me turn my attention to page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. The opposition seems intent on wasting the country's time for the next 5 years. If opposition leader Joseph Harman thinks he can lord over a corrupt group, taking home fat salaries and benefits while being an incompetent opposition, he must not realize that he is pushing APNU AFC chances at re-election further and further away. And with that, that concludes your main newscast package right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Let's remind you that you can get the full details of these stories and much more by picking up a copy of the Kaieteur News at a newsstand near you or head across to our website at kaieteurnewsonline.com. I am Joshua Van Slyckman.
And I am Kayla King.
Thank you for listening.
And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details of these stories, pick up a copy of the